What is up, guys? How are we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Jedi In Exile. We are today kicking off a brand new series. So you may or may not know. If you don't, where have you been? Andor released today as of filming, and it released with a 3-episode premiere that we have both currently seen the first episode only of. So we're going to have a little chat about what we think of the show so far, what we expect to kind of see over the next couple of weeks, or over the next couple of days, in fact, as we watch episode 2 and episode 3, where we think the series might go, predictions, all of that kind of stuff.
So I'm just going to put in there, we've watched episode 1 just so we don't taint our review of this episode by knowing what happens in episode 2 and 3. So we're going to do this review, then we're going to watch 2, do a review of 2, then we'll watch 3 and do a review of 3.
Yep.
It's just so we give an honest account of each episode.
Yeah, we just think that's the fairest way to give the show a chance.
Because we do love a good score at the end. We'll do a good score.
We do indeed. So keep your eyes peeled for episode 2 and episode 3. They're going to be releasing over the next couple of days from us. And the best way to make sure that you don't miss those is to hit that notification bell. While you're there, hit like, hit subscribe, all of that great stuff. Brian, talk to me. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, you know what? It was a little bit opposite to what I felt with most Star Wars series, apart from Kenobi. But for most Star Wars series, I've watched trailers and, known about it coming out, read bits and pieces. And I've been a bit like, oh, well, this will be cool. And then when I've watched the series, it's been like, oh my god, this is insane. But with Andor, I've been so hyped for this with watching the trailers. But then it came to this episode, and listen, I get it, it's episode 1, so I don't want to make a big deal of it. But we are doing a review show, and we are honest. I thought it was a little bit underwhelming for an episode 1. I felt like it was a bit of a nothing episode, that not really a lot happened. In it we had some cool flashback scenes, which I'm assuming are Clone Wars era, which I like what Disney have done with that. In a few of the shows now, we've had like flashbacks to like prequel stuff. So yeah, I felt like it was a little bit. I kept thinking, was there going to be a bit more to it? I didn't really feel like a lot happened, and I think, listen, it's episode 1, so there's only so much you can fit into an episode 1 of a series, and we know this isn't like a Kenobi where there's only 6 episodes, so all of them need to have like loads going on. There's 12 episodes in this series, so they are gonna have a storyline that lasts 12 episodes. So I'm excited to watch episode 2 and 3. Don't get me wrong, I really am. But considering on the trailer, we saw Mon Mothma, we saw the Grand Admirals. There was so much more that I know is coming. That this episode, I think, for me was just, I think, for want of a better word, just underwhelming, ever so slightly.
I think that's fair enough comment. I think I'm with you to a certain extent. I think underwhelming, for lack of a better phrase, is probably the way to describe it. I think we watched a bunch of the trailers together, the TV spots, all of those are on the channel if you guys have missed them and you kind of want to see how we felt after those. But I remember feeling incredibly hyped, and I wasn't when they announced this show. I kind of thought, okay, it's more Star Wars content, I'm gonna watch it because it's Star Wars content, but I wasn't fussed by it, wasn't excited by it. Watched the trailers and felt hyped, felt like a little kid again, waiting for the next big Star Wars thing to come out. And I think episode 1s have their place, right? In any series, and I think we have to remember that it's an episode 1 of a brand new show, let alone a brand new series. It's not like Mando season 2 where episode 1 can be exciting and action packed because a lot of the context is already set because we know who a whole bunch of the characters are. This is us discovering who some of the people are going to be. There are a handful of new characters introduced to us. Obviously, we know Cassian Andor, but we're starting to get a little bit more of a glimpse into why he maybe is the way that he was during Rogue One. We know that there are more characters to be met, but we met the I don't know the guy's name, but the main like security guy who we know was kind of geared up in the trailers to be the kind of the big bad for this series. We met a couple of Cassian's friends, his mother. We know that
Pop
he's
Junior.
Yeah, we know that he's looking for his sister, who we assume.
Yeah, that's obviously going to be a big part of this series. That the fact that he's looking for his sister, that I feel like that's going to drag him just into the rebellion, because maybe his sister's in the rebellion, or sister is, you know, something to do with the Imperials or killed by Imperials. Like, there's going to be something that gives him a purpose of fighting.
Yeah.
And it could well be that his sister is that, you know, that purpose. Something must happen to her or has happened to her.
She's the spark for him.
She's the spark that lights the rebellion.
Exactly.
As Junior.
Exactly.
Junior's got that line in this, hasn't she? She says something about a spark of the rebellion. It's like the Leo moment.
I think it's one of those, right? You have to take it with a pinch of salt, because you have to understand that they're gonna do this like world creating, introduction, context setting piece. I liked that we kind of got that scene where Cassian obviously has accidentally killed one of the guards, and there was a moment that I actually really enjoyed where he kind of he's given an out by the other one to kind of say, look, this was an accident, we can make this go away, and he pulls the trigger on the other guy, and I sat there going, oh, he's going to put it on stun, or he's going to knock him out, or he's going to be like, here's the gun, or just tell him to like run away or whatever. And it showed that kind of that more brutal side of Cassian, and we talked about it briefly before we started recording. It's that kind of anti-hero role as opposed to the typical Disney
Sunshine
kind of
and rainbows.
Yeah, like I'm the good guy, never get my hands dirty, like
high morals.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. And we kind of said that the whole point is this guy became a key figure within the rebellion, and the rebellion at like when it starts out is a back alley, shady, like dodgy dealings. We saw it in Rebels with sometimes having to do things that you don't necessarily want to do and deal with characters that you don't really want to deal with, but the ends justify the means. And I really hope that is a theme that is kind of carried through this a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, I know they use that cool circular screen, don't they? We know that from Mando behind the scenes, we know that from the Kenobi behind the scenes video, the documentary as well, but it's all a bit very much dark. Like a lot of the Book of Boba Fett was like beige because it was all on Tatooine, and whereas this is like your dark blues, it's like storm colours, it's grey, it really is not what you'd expect from like the Rebel Alliance, and that's because obviously the Rebel Alliance isn't probably officially formed yet, is it? This is, you know, the kind of guerrilla warfare, like these are like the factions that are then Bail Organa and Mon Mothma unite to become the one big Rebel Alliance.
It's actually really interesting because this is quite gritty, right? And I really hope that that's what they do with the rest of the series. I really hope they kind of carry on that dark kind of spin on things where it's that everything isn't sunshine and rainbows and happiness. But it's actually quite interesting because obviously the rebellion, the thing that you think about is like Princess Leia was the spearhead, and she was like pretty much the epitome of purity, like the white dress, the immaculate haircut, like all of that kind of stuff. And this is the complete opposite of that.
But these are the foot soldiers, aren't they? These are the ones, you know, at the bottom they are, you know,
in the trenches fighting the fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I'm interested to see what happens, right? Let's kind of roll it through. There wasn't tons to talk about. We obviously know that it's setting it up that this security guy is wanting to track down what happened, even though his superior has told him not to. His superior tried to kind of sweep it under the rug because it was better for everybody if it was an accident. So it's interesting to see that dynamic, and we briefly touched on the fact that it's interesting to see this whole imperial setup with the like local governor stuff replacing the Senate, and everything kind of being controlled kind of more locally, but again, a complete dictatorship as opposed to any form of democracy. But we've been left on a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of episode 1. I definitely want to watch episode 2 and episode 3 and find out what happens. That said, not a lot has happened in this episode other than he killed someone at the beginning, or 2 people at the beginning, and we're now finding out the consequences of that.
Yeah, and it's there wasn't ever going to be loads that you can fit into 40 minutes of a 12 episode series. And like you say, it is a brand new show. When you think about, the Mando, you can jump straight into episodes because like you say, the backstory has been set. And I actually thought the Mandalorian, the first couple of episodes were quite slow because again, you're building a character, you're finding out about them. You can't just jump straight in. So I appreciate that. Now, in terms of score, so we always do this, we've done a score on every single review show we've done. In terms of a score, see, we've made the mistake before of going in on episode 1 and giving it a 9 or a 10. And it's like
where do you go?
You can't get higher. Like everything's just a 9 or a 10. Yet some episodes are like so insanely better than others. So I'm going to learn from this, and I am going to give episode 1 of this a 6 out of 10. Now I'm going to say after that, before everybody hates me in the comments, is that I think this series is going to be absolutely amazing. I think it's going to be such a different type of series to what we've had in the Star Wars world under Disney, and I think it's going to be absolutely effing insane. However, we're honest, and we're doing it as a standalone episode of what this brings. This was underwhelming, but again, like I've said before, this happens in not just any Star Wars series, any series. It's episode 1 of a lot of series have been rubbish. Sometimes the first few episodes, sometimes the whole first series, yet the rest of it has been phenomenal. So it was episode 1, it was underwhelming, 6 out of 10.
Okay, I'm going to unsurprisingly follow suit a little bit here. So I'm going to go 6.75.
A 0.75?
Yeah.
Well, that is the first time we've ever had a 0.75.
Chalk it down in the diary. I'm going to give it 6.75. I feel like 6.5 for me is a little bit harsh because it's how you come at this, right? It was underwhelming, personally. But also, we've just said episode 1s tend to be because they have to do all of this stuff. Don't you dare. That movie is a perfect 10 and I will have nobody else.
Lisa thinking using banana gongon juice.
No, but episode 1s tend to be that bit slower and all of that kind of stuff. But so I feel like 6.5 is probably too harsh for me. 7, it's not enough to justify a 7 for me. I am really interested to see what happens. I'm interested to find out about Cassian. I wasn't at the beginning, like before when this was all announced. So I am invested. I want to know what happens. I want to know more about these people. Interested in the flashback storyline as well, to kind of see how that plays out and how he's ended up where he's ended up. And let's be honest, he's a lovable scoundrel. Like he's essentially
a nerf herder.
Yeah, exactly. He's like this, like that rugged kind of, that rugged charm that we've all come to know and love. So let's, we'll stick with it and we'll see how we get on. But 6.75 from me, 6 from you. So that's what, 6.375?
375, yeah. Quick
as
maths.
an average. So Big Shack School of Maths right there.
Exactly.
So yeah, you guys let us know down in the comments below what you thought. Do you agree with our scores? Do you think it should have been scored a perfect 10? Did you think it was incredible? Did you think that our scores were way too high and that there was nothing going on? Have we completely missed the point of the episode? I do always worry that when we sit and have these conversations and we don't score things particularly highly, that we've missed something super obvious. So let us know in the comments. Are you guys excited for episode 2, episode 3? Because we definitely are, despite the low score for this one. And yeah, keep those eyes peeled for episode 2 and episode 3 of this series coming out over the next couple of days for this one, and then we'll be going to weekly. Best way to make sure you don't miss any of that stuff, hit that notification bell. And while you're there, hit like, hit subscribe, all of that great stuff. Massively appreciate all the support. And all that is left to say is we will see you all real soon in the next one for episode 2 of Andor.
May the Force be with you all.